Hey guys, in today's video I wanted to talk about EQing before the compressor or EQing after the compressor. Does it matter? Short answer, yes, but it depends on what you're doing. Here's a few examples. I have a compressor up here and the placement changes how the compressor behaves. So EQing before it's going to make the compressor respond different than EQing after it. For example, let's say you got a vocal and you know you're going to cut low end out of the vocal, maybe below 180 hertz, whatever it is. So maybe you want to EQ it before the compressor so the compressor doesn't even respond to stuff that isn't going to be there anyways. The result of that would be a more cleaner sounding compression. EQing after the compressor is going to be used for more polishing, maybe fix the tone. A pro tip would be to subtractive EQ before the compressor. In other words, getting rid of things before it hits the compressor that you don't want the compressor to react to. And then after the compressor, use additive EQ to fine tune the sound you want. Here's a few examples here. Here's a compressor, and let's see what we can do here. I've got this compressor set. Let's hear what we got. So basically everything, the bass and the drums are going to this master fader here. And then I have this compressor on it that you just saw. And then I have an EQ before and an EQ after. And I'm going to turn that on and off, and we're going to see what happens to the sound. So let's do before. And the before EQ, I'm just using this free EQ. If you can get this, click the link below this video and you can get this EQ free. It's a really cool EQ. It's by Ozone. And let's see here. I've cut some low end. So right here, we're doing a high pass. We're just cutting everything below this frequency, which is at 72 hertz. And everything else stays the same. Now this is before the compressor. So we have the EQ, then the compressor. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a listen to these in a second. So this is what we have pre-compressor. And then after the compressor, we have this one. And this one is the same thing, same cut, but I'm adding just a little mid-range here. And that's because that was when I had guitars in the mix. I don't have that now, but we'll turn that on too. Now, lastly, what I'd like to do is see if you can hear the difference. I'm going to turn on the EQ before the compressor, and then I'll turn on the EQ after the compressor and see if you hear a difference in the low end, especially because that's what I'm cutting, to how the compressor is responding. Is it getting tighter? Is it getting more muddy? Is it getting fuller? Let's take a quick listen and see what you hear. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the bass and the drums, and I got this EQ before the compressor, and I'm going to turn it on and off. When you see this change like that, it's on, and when it's blue, it's off. So let's play a little bit. Okay, so do you hear a difference? Keep your thoughts, because I'm going to show you something that's going to help you see what you're hearing. And let's do the same thing with the EQ after the compressor. And so now I'm going to turn this one on and off as it plays. So it's going to go compressor, then EQ. And let's take a listen. So did you hear a difference? Well, let's take a look at what's going on. I'm going to put on an analyzer here so you can see the before and after EQ to the compressor to see actually what's going on. So here's our analyzer, and I will play the same thing again, and you'll be able to see up here when it's bypassed or not. And first we will do, just like before, we'll do the EQ into the compressor, and let's watch over here, especially on the low end, and see what happens. Now, if you noticed, when it's off, meaning the EQ is off, the low pass or the high pass is off, not going into the compressor, and we're not EQing into the compressor, all that low end you can see over here on the screen here is filling up this area. And watch this, we'll turn this on here. So right here, you can see about 49 hertz right in this area. There's a lot of low end, but when I turn on the EQ, watch that same area. Look at that. It's all gone. Turn it on again. See all that low end from where my mouse is here? That's with no EQ into the compressor. And here's with EQ into the compressor. See all that gone? All that mud is taken away before it goes to the compressor, so the compressor doesn't have to respond to stuff that you're not going to have in your mix anyways, or potentially not having in your mix. So it's something to think about. It can help tighten your low end if that's what you're looking for. Depends on the sound you're going for, and that's why I said earlier, it depends EQing before or after, depending on what you're trying to achieve. It can also be really good, or a useful thing to do is to EQ before and after, and use one to get rid of the stuff you don't want the compressor to respond to that's not useful to you. Maybe somebody sings something harsh, or there's a harsh sound you want to get rid of. So maybe you'll EQ it before the compressor so it doesn't enhance that sound you don't want. And then after the compressor, you can EQ it to give it a little more sheen, maybe tailor the sound to what you want to hear, and it won't be affecting the compressor at all. Now let's look and see what happens when we EQ after the compressor, and we'll do the same thing. We'll watch over here and see what happens. Now, as you can see, it's changing the low end too, but the difference is it's after the compressor. So the compressor's still responding to all of that low end stuff because we're not EQing before. So if you listen to the sound, I'll play this back and forth with the EQ before the compressor and after, so you can hear the difference and see what you like. Do you hear a difference? There's two different types of tones going on there. Let's try it now with guitars on here, and we'll do a similar thing. We'll do the EQ before and after. So let's hear it with guitar, and let's go ahead and put on the keyboards too. So same thing, EQ before, EQ after. Here we go with EQ first. And for the heck of it, let's do it with no EQ before or after so you can hear what that sounds like, just the band going through the compressor. And one last time, EQing before, you can see when the band's playing, there's a lot more low end buildup over here. And I'll put this here so you can see it, and I'll turn on the EQ before and watch what happens. See all of this go away? EQ off. See all this coming in here, right? So it's something to think about, something that you can maybe play with to tailor a sound. Of course, you can do this on, any instrument. So I'm just doing it on a mix bus just to make it easy to do this video. But if you do this maybe before a kick drum, after a kick drum, maybe before a guitar, maybe after a guitar, depending on your need, there are some uses that you can maybe utilize this technique, and maybe it will help on some of your projects. So I appreciate you watching. Please, there's a link below to get this EQ here. Let me pull it up here. For free, you can get this Ozone Advanced EQ for free if you click the link below this video. If you click the link below this video, you'll get that free. And I appreciate you watching. Let me know if you like the EQ before or after the compressor for your own projects, and why. And thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.